Okay, great. So just to start, tell me a little bit about yourself,
Perfect.
and sustainability planning, architecture, how you got into that specific field.
Perfect. So, thanks for organizing this interview. First of all, Ransom. I am Guillermo Corral. I am architect and urban designer. I always say that I do like three things to
Hmm.
summarize. I do design, I do consulting, and I do training, or we could say lecturing, better said.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, the three of them have one thing in common, which is related to your question. It's the three of them have a common value, which is sustainable urban planning, sustainable urban design,
Hmm.
best practice in creating better cities where we living. And particularly my participation, my involvement in UrbanNet is as the coordinator of its urban knowledge hub. So as the coordinator of its no, of the urban knowledge hub of KnowUrbanNet, I try to use this practice that I have in the professional environment for the dissemination of our values as a think tank. Okay, and within these values, we have sustainability as a key pillar, and we in this, let's say, in this momentum, and I guess we'll get into more detail now. Within the, let's say, within the framework of the Smart City Expo World Congress, we've organized a side event in which we want to go beyond sustainability and talk about resilience. And of course, resilience means a lot for architects and urban designers because at
Hmm.
the end, cities are dynamic. A city is not a static reality. A city evolves. A city has to resist to externalities, but not only resist, but also adapt.
Yes. Um, and then, yeah, my next question is going to be, what are the key features of a resilient city and how do they differ from a smart city?
Well, that's a very important question, and actually, ideally, a smart city should be resilient. Okay, if not, I'd say a smart city is not smart. Your question is very fair because I've identified during my 10-year professional experience, I've identified two generations of smart cities. Okay, so the concept has been evolving fortunately, because the first generation of smart cities were those in which technology was the aim. So basically, a city had to be technological, had to be digitalized, and that's all. It had to be, and it had to be. And while the second generation has identified that technology in general can help people's life, because at the end, a city is inhabited by people. In the smart city discourse, many times housing is neglected, is not spoken about. And for example, in a typical European city, between 50 and 70% of the land, of the urbanized land, is dedicated to residential. So it's very, let's say, I'd say sad, or I'd say special to, or difficult to understand. It's difficult to understand that within
Mhm.
the smart city, um, let's say, environments or discussions, etc. Until the last years, housing was not discussed, and I'm talking about housing because it means a lot in a city to be resilient. Because one of the failures of the 21st century city is that it's not being resilient in that to adapt for people's needs as regards housing. Okay, so in conclusion, a smart city has to be resilient. We are in the second generation of smart cities, which fortunately say that technology will help us or can help us to be resilient. I can give you, for example, the example of Valencia, the surroundings of Valencia last year. There is technology. I know the weather or the climate event was really extreme, but it was forecasted, in fairness. And flooding can also be forecasted. And this is about resilient. And it's a city not just to adapt, but to anticipate. So technology basically, and I end with this, basically technology does not just help us to adapt, it also helps us to anticipate, to make predictive models. Like now there's a concept, it's a very trendy concept, but it's true, it's a digital twin. We can make digital twins of cities. We can make digital twins of territories. It's like an example of the city, a simulation of the city, a real it's really identical to that in the digital world, and we can simulate traffic, we can simulate social crisis, we can simulate climate change, we can simulate, for example, in Barcelona, a day with 50 degrees Celsius. Let's see how that is. So Barcelona has been
Wow.
testing that because it is anticipated that in 20, 30 years 50 degrees Celsius days can take place in the summer in Barcelona. So that
Wow.
is resilience, and that's how the smartness, let's say, concept or discussion can help, or the smartest universe, the smart city universe with all these gadgets, technology, optimism in technology, and so on, can be put at the service of the resilient city.
Perfectly said. Um, and then you brought up examples of Valencia and Barcelona and how they're trying to use predictive models and work proactively. Are there any other examples of how Barcelona or Spain in general are working to promote resilient city planning?
So yeah, I guess both cities actually are examples of smart cities. Unfortunately, in the case of Valencia, the event happened in the suburbs, in the southern area. So let's
Mhm,
say the key word here is integration. There's a lack of integration in between the core city and the surroundings. And that's why at the beginning of the interview, I was talking about the resilience of cities and territories. And in UrbanNet, we kind of always repeat the same expression, cities and territories, because we don't want to neglect, we don't want to forget those areas that are, let's say, a conurbation rather than a city. And this
mhm,
happens in Barcelona, where a digital twin overall, not just for climate change, overall is being developed, a digital
mhm,
twin for Barcelona. And the challenge here is that there are different administrations, different local authorities involved. So the challenge is that the digital twin is not just for the municipality of Barcelona, but
mhm.
for the metropolitan area. Okay, so that all the towns in the surroundings of Barcelona get benefited from this digital twin. Of course, Spanish cities overall, I can tell you about a tool that helps architects to exercise our profession on a daily basis. This is 3D modeling. 3D modeling, not just, or we could say in an advanced stage, we could talk about city information modeling. Madrid also has this. This is basically about um, modeling the city in 3D, but also reproducing sunlight, daylight, so that when you develop a project or a building,
Mhm.
before doing any final design decision, you can really understand or you can really anticipate how that building is gonna behave, okay? Just in the computer before doing it in real time. And when I talk about a building, I also talk about an urban project. So we can talk about a whole neighborhood or a brownfield development that is surrounded by a complex environment. We are making solid steps on this. But of course, I guess we are solving more problems on the pure built environment or the pure architectural field. And now there's a challenge, I guess, in social issues, in housing, etc. And that's why in UrbanNet we are making an effort to put resilience in the center of the topic.
Wonderful. Um, and then lastly, what do you hope UrbanNet will accomplish in this seminar and also the goal of the company in general?
So, to be honest, the organization of of the seminar has been challenging, and at the same time, it's been a great effort because we have different universities involved, different
Mhm,
experts, and different countries. So, just to explain you a little bit of the backstage of this, we do have representatives from Peru
mhm,
because we have our expert Miguel Castañeda. He's from Peru. So he
Yes.
has contacts there, and he has brought a university from Peru, the Universidad Católica. Then our coordinator is from Chile, she's
Hmm.
Gloria Donoso, and she has also brought an expert, which is from KnowUrbanNet as well, Benjamin. And Benja has brought the university, the Universidad del Desarrollo from Chile. So we have Chile, Peru. And then
Wow.
we also have Colombia, because with Colombia we have a starting relationship with a smart city cluster that groups not just administrations but also the private sector. Different
Hmm.
companies in the territory. They are based in the Caribbean region of Colombia, so this is, I'd say, kind of the northwest, okay, the region that is more looking to the Caribbean Sea. The main city is Cartagena de Indias, where the Universidad del Sinú is based. So here we have the third university, also involved in the seminar, and they'll be presentially because they are visiting the Smart City Expo. Okay, so we are trying,
Hmm.
in the short term, we are trying to achieve the objective of having a side event without taking place in the 3 days of the expo, but taking place on the next day, taking advantage of that momentum, and also taking advantage of people traveling to Barcelona, extending a bit their stage, and joining us on Friday. Of
Hmm.
course, everyone can join virtually as well. We'll be disseminating the links in our social networks. It will be also retransmitted by Twitch. So it's like a hybrid event. The three universities will have people presentially. So people from particularly Chile and Peru will be able to join in person, but
Hmm.
anyone in the world will be able to join remotely. It's true that the session will take place in Spanish, but we do have a lot of public in English as well. We have experts in Canada, we have experts in Europe, we have experts in the Middle East. I think it's good that we are doing this interview in English as well for that public, and I'm sure that this seminar format will take place in English in the short term. And then there is another, let's say, midterm objective, which is that we are gonna crystallize all the content that the experts will do, and also our own experts are producing articles to
Hmm.
populate a new report, #5. So this is the fifth report, the fifth paper we are doing in UrbanNet. So we've been talking about, in the last years, we've been talking about water, we've been talking about governance. We've been talking about the management of middle-sized conurbations, as we said, Barcelona, and others in Latin America, and others in
Hmm.
Europe, like kind of 5 million conurbations. And this fifth hashtag
Hmm.
is about resilience. Okay, and
Yeah.
it has also a meaning, because we normally in industry we're talking about the first revolution, the second revolution, and so on.
Hmm.
And we acknowledge that we are in the fifth revolution, because the fourth revolution was the technological revolution, and the
Uh-huh.
fifth revolution is the digital humanism revolution, which is to put technology at the service of people. So we have this
Hmm.
resilience hashtag related to a 2050 horizon, 5.0 cities, and talk about resilience. So that's the middle objective we have, and we aim to publish this hashtag early in 2026, this report with all the contents crystallized in a single paper.
Wow. Very well said. Uh, a lot to think about with Industry 5. A really, really interesting concept with the mixture of humanization and technology. Um, Thank you very much. I look forward to speaking with some of the other speakers as well, and getting to talk to them about what they're going to be talking about in the event. But yeah, I think that's everything.